The LSU Tigers have 4 different players along the offensive line that will likely get drafted in the 2025 class. We all know about Will Campbell, who is likely to be a top 15 pick at the very worst, but right tackle Emory Jones, left guard Garrett Dellinger, and right guard Miles Frazier are all players who will likely get taken in this draft class. Today, we are going to be highlighting right guard Miles Frazier, who has turned himself into one of my favorite guard prospects in the entire draft class. I want to give a big shout out to my guy Dom C on Twitter, who is a huge advocate for Frazier all draft cycle, even before I saw it with my own eyes. In today's video, we are going to be highlighting his strengths, weaknesses, and talking about ultimately where I think Frazier will get selected in the NFL draft. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for just $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board, with over 500 prospects and counting. It is one of the best resources on the market, and you will be able to find all of my scouting notes, player stats, and updated combine/pro day numbers. It's an easy way to support the channel, and I'll leave that linked in the description below. Leave a comment and let me know which prospects you guys would like to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's get into it. Frazier started his collegiate career at FIU in 2020, where he was recruited to play tackle. He played 2 seasons for the Panthers before transferring to LSU in 2022, where he has been a starter ever since. In 2023, he played in 785 snaps and allowed 6 pressures and 1 sack on the year. I watched his tape over the summer, and I really wasn't moved. I didn't think he was a draftable prospect, but his 2024 tape really shut me up. He played in 902 offensive snaps and allowed 13 pressures and 0 sacks on the season, and I think he is a player who has boosted his draft stock a ton after an awesome Senior Bowl and a really solid NFL draft combine. The first thing you love when you watch Frazier on tape is his build. He is a thick and dense offensive lineman, and he has all the traits that you want physically. He's 6'5", 324 pounds, and he has 33 3/8 inch arms, which are all fantastic numbers for the position. The one knock on his frame is he does only have 9-inch hands, which is towards the bottom of interior offensive linemen. But overall, I think he has a really good frame to play on the interior. Pass protection is really where Frazier makes his money. He is one of the best pass protecting guards in the entire draft class, and his production speaks for itself. He's played in over 3,200 offensive snaps in his college career, played at all 5 positions along the offensive line, and he's only allowed 8 sacks. He's pretty good on his feet, and I think he has the quickness to readjust, but I think his hands were really impressive. He was consistently swiping away defenders' hands, and it seemed like he always had an answer for pass rushers. A majority of his sacks as well came from earlier in his career where he played tackle, and he's allowed just 1 sack over the past 2 seasons. I think he's got some really good pass blocking traits that are going to translate well to the NFL. As an athlete, it's a bit of a mixed bag with Frazier. I wouldn't say he's a fantastic athlete by any means, but he's also not a bad one either. I think in a straight line, he moves pretty well. He shows the ability to climb into the second level, particularly on inside zone runs, and I think he's got good potential there. But his lateral quickness and ability to pull in the run game is not amazing. Like I said, I think he's a decent athlete, but I don't know if he's the type of guard you want playing in a heavy outside zone rushing scheme. My biggest issue with Frazier overall is his run blocking. Once again, I wouldn't say he's a bad blocker in the run game, but there were a lot of instances where Frazier would overextend and miss his assignment altogether. Timing in the run game is so important, and there were a lot of issues there with Frazier. I thought he mistimed a lot of his snaps, and I would really like to see him improve there because I do think it could limit his overall upside. The other issue I want to see Frazier improve upon is his anchor. For as good of a pass protector as Frazier is, he really has some ugly footwork at times. He plays really light on his feet and can put himself back into the play, but there were a lot of instances where Frazier was pushed off balance, pushed back into the pocket, and he had to readjust himself. That's not going to fly against faster defenders at the NFL level, and I think he has to play with better footwork and get stronger in his lower half. With all of that being said though, I am a big fan of Miles Frazier. I think playing in an offense that was much more pass oriented brought out the best in him in 2024, and I think he's got really good potential to develop into a solid starting guard at the NFL level. He is currently my number 7 interior offensive lineman in the draft class, and he is my number 101 overall prospect. He barely misses out on my top 100, but I think he's a fantastic player. In terms of a scheme fit, I like Frazier in an offense that passes the football a lot. An offense that has a heavy pass protecting offensive line where he can play in an inside zone scheme that prioritizes play action. I think that's what he did best this past season for LSU and where his skill set will allow him to grow the most at the NFL level. My player comparison for Miles Frazier is former 49ers guard John Feliciano. Feliciano had a near identical build to Frazier and was a solid overall offensive lineman. He had some play strength concerns, but he was a solid enough run blocker, was an above average pass protector, and I think Frazier can play a very similar role to what Feliciano did at the NFL level. Miles Frazier has fantastic size. He's a big-bodied offensive lineman who I think has a pretty high ceiling in the NFL. I think he's going to be a good NFL player. And ultimately, I believe that Miles Frazier will be an early day 3 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.